Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Sauce, and we're in some high spirits. We had a good Sunday, nice green NFL Sunday. We hit Monday Night Football. We swept NBA 4-0 last night. NHL went 7-1. Finally, October was a rough month for us. Finally, things look good this week. But just like we put the losing days in the past, we got to do the same thing with the winning days and move on. Let's talk Thursday Night Football. We got Eagles versus Houston. Weird one. Let's go.
Welcome to the Sauce. The Sauce. Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
All right, Philly on the road at Houston here. Thursday Night Football. Line opens up. The look-ahead line for this game was Texans +9. It closes for the Sunday games, and after Sunday's games, it reopens at Houston +13, and everyone's on Philly. I'm talking over 90% of the money is on Philadelphia. Here we are on Wednesday night. Action is still all over Philadelphia, still over 90% of the money on Philly. Line moves. We're now looking at Houston plus a full 14. So let's cap this game. If you subscribe to this channel, you already know the first step. We're running the numbers through the spreadsheet. According to the model, the line for this game should be Houston plus 11.05. So that's a 3-point lean on the Texans. So let's break down this matchup, and I mean, let's call it what it is. Is this the best team in the NFL against the worst team in the NFL? No, I probably would still take the Buffalo Bills as the best team in the NFL. But to be safe, let's say it's an elite team against a really bad team. First, let's talk about last week, and I'm going to pull up the charts here because this is interesting. The Eagles offense are coming off their best performance of the year analytically, and the Houston Texans offense is coming off by far their worst performance of the year. So right off the bat, I'm thinking this could be a perfect sell high, buy low situation. And also that would explain why the line moved a full 5 points from the look ahead line. It's really tough to find weaknesses on this Eagles team because they are so well rounded. But just like I said on the live show last Sunday morning, if you got to pick a weakness on the Eagles team, it'd be their run defense. You can run the ball on Philly. They're sitting at just 22nd in run defense DVOA. I mean, look at these numbers. Steelers, 144 rushing yards, 6.0 yards per carry. Cowboys, 134 yards on 5.2 yards per carry. Even the Cardinals were able to run on them the week before that. Okay, so you can run the ball on Philly, but does it matter because they're still undefeated? Well, it kind of does matter, yeah, because we're not trying to decide if Philadelphia is going to win the game. We need to know if they're going to cover 14. And honestly, I'm not sure. If you look at the Eagles' 3 road games so far, they beat the Lions by 3. Then they beat the Commanders by 16, so they would have covered in that one. And then they beat the Cardinals by just 3. I know Houston sucks, but the Lions, the Cardinals, and the Commanders, those aren't exactly tough opponents. And the Eagles were beating them by just 7.3 points. I mean, and now we're going to lay 14 on just 3 days rest. Also, keep in mind, this Houston Texans team is not getting blown out. In fact, they've only lost 1 game all season by more than 10 points. So it's not like the Texans are just getting their asses kicked every week. If you're wondering how Houston is keeping these games close, simple, red zone defense. Believe it or not, this Houston Texans defense is 5th in the NFL in red zone percentage. It's going to be hard to cover a 14-point spread if you're counting by 3. I mean, how fired up is this Eagles team really going to be to fly to Houston to play the Texans on 3 days rest? A lot of their stars had only a light practice. A lot of their stars are going into this game with just 1 practice this week. Keep in mind, this is by far the least important game on the Eagles' schedule this whole year. Now for some good news if you plan on betting the Eagles, and this is bad. So the Houston Texans are so practical joke bad against the run. Let me show you how far in last place they are. Ready? This is run defense DVOA numbers. 30th place, the Detroit Lions at 7.2%. 31st, Green Bay, 12.4%. So a pretty big gap between 30 and 31. 32nd, Houston Texans, 19.0%. In case you're unfamiliar with how DVOA numbers work, so let me give you an example. The Tennessee Titans are first in run defense DVOA. They have a rating of minus 21.5%, right? So if you're a team that averages 120 yards rushing a game, when you play the Titans, theoretically, you should get 21.5% less than that, which comes out to 94 yards. So you should have 94 rushing yards against the Titans. Against Houston, you add 19%. So if you're averaging 120 yards rushing, against the Texans, you should have 142.8 rushing yards. Now, it's a little more complicated than that. Like, a 2-yard run on 3rd and 1 is worth more than a 2-yard run on 2nd and 8, obviously, and takes into consideration situation, stuff like that. But overall, that's how you're supposed to interpret those numbers. Anyway, when you saw those Houston Texans run defense numbers, you should be thinking, wow, the Eagles offense is going to steamroll this front seven. And you wouldn't be wrong. But this Eagles offense isn't exactly the run-dominant offense we thought we were going to see this year. In fact, the Eagles are 6th in the NFL in pass offense DVOA. They're 5th in rushing. Want to know what happened the only time the Houston Texans have seen a top 10 rushing team this year? That was the Raiders game, and that's the only game. They lost that by 18. It's the only game this year that they wouldn't have covered a 14-point spread in. I know a lot of people are on the first half here. Eagles are 7-0 against the spread in the first half, so I know a lot of people are hammering that Philly first half minus 7.5, but I'm not one of them. I mean, laying 14 points on the road, 3 days rest, just one practice for some of these guys. This is like the Super Bowl for the Texans. Their primetime game against the best team in the NFL. They're fired up. I mean, this game means nothing for the Eagles. And then add on the fact that the entire world is betting the Philadelphia Eagles. Sounds good to me. I'll fade everyone. I'm on Houston here. Give me the Texans plus 14, lock it in. If anything changes with this bet, I'll let you know on Twitter, so give me a follow there if you're interested. Also, if you want the final tickets that I do, bet of the day, top 7 bets, underdogs of the day, parlay of the day, that kind of stuff, and we're finally heating up. Head over to KyleKirms.com or download the Sauce Network app. NFL Week 9 is here already. We're starting off Thursday as always. We're bringing some momentum into this weekend. I'm fired up. Let's have a good one. I'll talk to you on Twitter.